Hello everyone, welcome back. It's Space Engineers Plus Me, episode 48. I'm Enigmas, and today we're looking at a new ship. It's a brand spanking new ship. I didn't realize it was going to be this big when I started building it. It's like everything else. It starts off this idea and it just grows and grows and grows on its own. This is the ship that I'm going to be using to go to the moon to get more platinum, because we can't finish the Atlas unless we can finish making all of the thrusters, and we can't make all of the thrusters until we have enough platinum to make the thruster components. So it's a very important thing that we're doing. The thing is, I could have taken the Dauntless, which is still over there. You can still barely see the purple haze around it from the purple lighting, but it requires hydrogen, and I didn't want to go through the process of digging up ice and converting it to hydrogen and storing it up, and then hoping it would be enough to get me out of the atmosphere, and then hoping that it would be enough to maneuver in the gravity well of the moon, and then be able to get back to our Earth-like planets without having to harvest more ice and convert more. In other words, we're taking advantage of the fact that we've already been to the moon and got some platinum, and instead of using hydrogen thrusters, we're using a combination of atmospheric thrusters for maneuvering when we're in the atmosphere, and ion thrusters for maneuvering in space and around the gravity well on the moon. So it's going to save us a little bit of hassle in that regard. I had to scavenge some parts from the Atlas thrusters. A lot of the thrusters that were complete on the Atlas are no longer complete, but it's just a temporary kind of thing. And I kind of had a chance to mess around with some aesthetics that I'd been thinking about for a time, but hadn't really had a chance to put into play. So we're going to take a quick tour of the ship, and then we're going to get down to the business of getting to the moon and getting the platinum, and then hopefully getting safely back to our planet here so that we can do the things that we want to do with the Atlas, which is just kind of hanging out, doing its thing. So we've got a bridge instead of a cockpit, because this is a large ship frame. It's a large ship grid. The front end has got an ore detector and a pair of spotlights. Spotlights were recently buffed. They provide a lot more light, and it's funny, you'll see when we go to the back end, which we'll do actually quickly because the sun's coming up, they give off a lot more light. The reason why I wanted this on a large ship grid is because I wanted the large ore detectors so that we get the maximum detection range out of them. And someone suggested that ore detectors might be directional. They're faced in a certain direction, they'll detect in a certain direction. So there's one ore detector here, and there's another one buried somewhere in the chassis that's basically pointing straight down. So between the two, I'm hoping that we have the best possible chance of discovering the platinum as quickly as possible. But if you look over here, see all this light off the back end here? That's from this spotlight here, which technically cannot even reach that back end because it's all closed off. See, look. How is that light getting here? I don't know, and frankly I'm not complaining, because more light is never a bad thing. You can see here we've got some of the thrusters oriented. I have to be very clear because there's going to be a blueprint for this, as always. The information box below the video if you want to just kind of mess around with it. It's a very simple, straightforward ship. Remember, you need platinum to build it. It's not going to be the first ship that you take to the moon because you're not going to have the platinum to build the thrusters. But you're going to need platinum to build it, and it's specifically designed with just enough thrust to get off the planet and get back safely, as long as you haven't filled the large cargo container. If you've filled it, as in like right full, you're probably not going to have enough thrust to get back safely. You probably wouldn't even have enough thrust to get off the surface of the moon. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Just keep in mind, we used a large container because it was convenient, but I wouldn't recommend filling it and expecting to maneuver around safely. We've got a large reactor providing power for the whole thing. There's the reactor. And we've got a large hydrogen tank. This is for the jetpack bottles. This isn't for fuel of any kind. We haven't got a single hydrogen thruster on this ship anywhere, but we do need hydrogen so that we can refill our hydrogen bottles for jetpack fuel, and so that's why we have it. We've got a pair of oxygen tanks connected to our oxygen generator so that we can provide oxygen for the bridge and also refill oxygen bottles when we're on the moon, when we're mining around and stuff. We're going to need some oxygen for that. And beyond that, I mean, it's just a really, really simple ship. Now, aesthetically, there are certain things that I'm not really happy with. I don't really like this front end as much as I could. This here seems like kind of a cop-out compared to what I might normally like to do. But overall, it's not the kind of thing that I'm going to start ripping things apart and rebuilding them in order to correct. I just kind of keep in the back of my mind that I've tried this shape in the past. Now that we've done it, we can say we've tried it in the past, and we really don't like it. So for the next one, we can do a little bit of a better job. And same with the glass, and specifically the glass in the front section here. I didn't really like the way that turned out. We've got some weird detailing down here. You can actually see into the bridge, and from the bridge outside, this little corner thing here. I wouldn't say that that was by design, but when I realized that the shape was taking taking us in that direction, I was okay with it because it's kind of a little thing that you can peek out of. We've also got, I think, 12 batteries on the ship, and we can actually see through these windows to the batteries. There's no other way to access these batteries except for looking through the windows. And you can see that the batteries on this side are mostly fully charged. Some of them are trying very hard to not be, the little bastards. And we've got 6 more on this side as well. So there's some symmetry going on. Everything is, doing its thing. There we go. 6 more there. That's the deal. I like this kind of elliptical sort of shape. We're going to be using that again. And also, I learned a little bit from this detail you see with the dark gray blocks. Not necessarily, I'm not necessarily happy with every aspect of it. I think this is kind of a rough sort of intersection for the blocks to come together, but it gave me some ideas for the next big build that we do that I think I'm going to be really happy with. So sometimes building is about building things and you say, yeah, I can live with that for now, but I got this great idea from this thing that I built that was almost good. But I learned some things from it, and now for the next build I have an idea. So that's kind of the thing here that we're looking at. Originally I had a large atmospheric thruster. This one right here that's currently pointed down. It was originally going to be providing forward thrust until I realized I didn't have enough thrust to get the ship off the ground, so it got pointed downwards instead. And there was a little bit of an opening here. Just the way they played together, there was, you could see sort of like the top half of the circle of the atmospheric thruster pointing backwards like this from here, and then there was this one. It was kind of neat as well. So that's how this detail came to be. It was this actually going over the rear-facing, or I guess forward-facing atmospheric thruster so that you could see it, but also have something built over it. I don't even know if that's making a lot of sense, but this was a detail that was put in for a specific purpose that was then changed, so that's why it looks a little bit out of place. The rear-facing, that's all we've got to slow ourselves down when we're moving forward, so we have to be very, very thoughtful about how we're moving and where, so that we don't bounce off of planets and moons and stuff when we're doing it. So that's basically it. I need to get some more uranium in the reactor. I need to make sure that all of our on-hand bottles are full. We don't want to be heading off to the moon with 2 empty bottles and one at 25%. And then we're going to be heading off in that direction. Although it's going to start off heading off straight up until we're out of the gravity well. And then we'll be flying off in that direction to the moon, hopefully to find platinum quickly, extract it, and then get back here. Work on this guy.